Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'm Doing Great. Thank you for being here. Hit like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you know when we post stuff, because we post a lot of stuff. Not recently, but we will.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, smash the like button. Also, go to our locals, doinggreat.locals.com. There's going to be some exclusive content after this episode that's only going to be available to locals subscribers, local
community, the locals community.
Yeah.
Let us commune together.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We have a locals communism that you can go to and be a part of the community where we only post exclusive stuff that you can't find anywhere else. But guess who's in the studio? The return of Fick Nuentes.
Fick Nuentes.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. He can fly now.
Yes.
He can fly.
Yeah,
I
talk
flew
about
here.
that.
Yeah, I flew here to get here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
It feels good. I've been flying a lot. I've been taking full advantage of it since I got off the
Good.
list. And
Do you still have to wear a mask on the planes now?
no, they got rid of the mandate.
Oh, wow.
So that means Bryson can fly now.
Oh, that's right. Bryson can fly now
Oh, yeah,
because
that's
he
right.
has a strict rule.
Self-imposed. No
Yeah,
fly list.
exactly, which is kind of base. I mean, he wouldn't even go to the doctor for his tooth if he had to wear a mask in the waiting room, and he would just suffer.
That's right.
I'm like, okay, dude.
I mean, he's equivalent to the Buddhist who would light himself on fire to protest the Vietnam War or climate change. You know what I mean?
Or climate change.
Suffer for your ideals.
Yeah.
So were there any lawyers involved that got you off that fly list, or you pursued that yourself?
Well, there are lawyers involved, but the way that I got off was through this process called the TRIP application, Traveler Redress Inquiry Program. And so if you suspect that you're on the no-fly list, you fill out this application. And it's weird because they don't tell you you're on it, but if you think you're on it, you like apply,
Yeah.
and then they'll like, so it's very ridiculous.
Wouldn't that give them more incentive to put someone on the no-fly list? Like, this guy thinks he's on the no-fly list.
Yeah.
He's not. Let's put him on it because he probably has some weird ulterior motives. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so I filled out that application when I found out I was on the list effectively. And so they sent me a letter back in March, and they said, okay, we remove you from the do not board list. And now I'm on another list. Now I'm on a secondary security screening list, Quad S, selective secondary security, something like that. But I'm off the no-fly list, so I can fly just with the groping, just with the pat down. So
Okay.
Okay, not too bad.
yeah,
It's not too bad.
could be worse.
Because last time when you were here, we asked you if you got like a little certificate for being on the no-fly list, but no.
Kind of a bummer. I mean,
Yeah.
he could screenshot that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
It's a
So
rip,
he has
though.
it. He could frame
I
it.
wish I had something that said you're on the no-fly. I feel like that's a lot more ominous.
That's, yeah.
Like, saying you're off is kind of like,
like
you're a
whatever.
baby. Yeah.
You get like the gold foil stamp that's on a piece of paper saying
Right.
you are on the no-fly list.
Yeah.
I like the mustache.
Thank you.
Very good. It adds a couple years, but also makes you look. I don't know what it is. Adds a couple years, but also makes you look a little bit smarter. I don't know
You
what
look
that is.
wise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look
Thank
very
you.
wise.
Yeah. It increases ethnicity, I think. in me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
is-
testosterone.
See? Nick's
too.
ethnic. We like ethnic here.
That's right.
He's
yeah.
not
Pro-ethnic.
he's not a what's the white supremacist as they all say he is. Maybe he is, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't
White
know.
nationalist, that's what they say.
That's
That's
right.
the more correct term. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
A white nationalist is just an observation. It doesn't seem like a derogatory term. If you call me a white nationalist, I'd be like, yeah, I guess.
Well, yeah, white
That's-
and nationalist.
And
That's a
Nationalist.
pretty astute observation.
thing to be
I
a
don't really
nationalist.
see that as a dig.
Yeah.
You know?
White, comma, nationalist.
Right, exactly.
Fitting.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So what have you been up to lately?
Oh, I've just been doing my thing, doing my show.
Cozy.
Cozy.tv, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, check out
I
the
want some
shirt.
cozy merch.
Yeah, I'll get you some.
Please.
I'll send you a
I
sweatshirt.
like cozy. I was on with Bryson. It's so funny because he messaged me a month ago. He's like, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" And I said, "Sure." I don't know you had one. And then I happened to text him the day before we were going on his show together, and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "It is honestly," I said, "my life goal to one day be on Cozy." I said, "I would love to be on Cozy." He was like, "You dummy." He was like, "You're going to be on Cozy tomorrow night with me." I was like, "What?"
Let's go.
So go to cozy.tv and watch Nick and watch me and Bryson.
Yeah, well, you can have a channel if you want. You'd be one of the few women, though. There's only, I think, like 2 women on there.
I know. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You gotta really
You
be
gotta
at a
get a-
high
you gotta-
standard of female.
Yeah. You got to get
to
a
be on
green
Cozy.
screen.
Yeah, yeah. But in all seriousness, I mean, one day once things settle down with the baby, when the baby's older, I would love to be on Cozy. I think it's a great platform. I mean, because when you came here a couple months ago, I had never been on Cozy. I thought it was like subscription based, but totally free, and I really enjoy it.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the idea because, you know, there are these censorship-proof alternatives, which are fine. But historically, they're all subscription-based. It's all paywalled, and that's, in my opinion, a flawed business model because you don't get the traffic from the social media platforms. That's the biggest loss is you don't get people pouring on. And when you put a paywall, it even restricts the people that do come on, the narrower traffic that would go to your site. But now you have like Rumble, you have Odyssey, there's other options. But when we first started, it was, you know, kind of like a pioneer thing to do. So, yeah, so we're excited about it. And the other philosophy is, you know, we really looked at the other platforms, even the ones that censor, and we just wanted something that looks good and works. Yeah. You know, because that's, in my opinion, the biggest problem with alt tech is that it either doesn't look good or it doesn't work. And you're already asking people to leave like a big familiar platform they're used to where there's more options. And then if you're asking them to go on a platform that's objectively inferior and like feels inferior, it's a chore to use.
And looks awful.
Yeah, which is often the case. So that's been the philosophy, and people have responded very positively to it. So
yeah, I think it's good to not be behind a paywall, especially if you have a message that people need to hear who are not necessarily on your side already.
Right.
And I think that's one of the great things about Cozy is that, you know, there are a lot of things that you guys talk about that people need to hear that wouldn't pay to hear it. Yeah. And that's the thing is if you exist behind a paywall, it's like everyone's paying to hear the same thing, but they already believe it. So it's just like kind of circulating the same stuff over and over again.
That's what's cool about locals is that we don't really even talk politics on our locals for the most part. Like I don't. So I did 2 videos on my tattoos because people were like, talk about your tattoos. I said, okay. So give the people what they want.
People like the tats.
Yeah. When are you going to get tattoos?
Never. No tats for me.
His body's a temple.
What if his whole body, like under the shirt, was just all over,
like
and you never knew?
Parker under here, and you never know.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, chest tattoo.
Do you know how many active, or roughly how many active viewers or do you have viewers or subscribers? Like, is there a rough number of total people that are on Cozy TV versus like how many active viewers watch your show?
So I'm getting about 6,000-7,000 live viewers concurrent per night. And then the site-wide total, we just looked at the preliminary numbers for April. We're going to hit close to 10 million visits on the site in the month of April.
Yeah.
And we're going to hit, I think it's 1 million plus unique visitors.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So the metrics are pretty, I was honestly surprised at how quickly, because we've only been around since October. But you know what it is the content everywhere else just sucks, honestly. Like, I use Cozy, and no offense, I know you guys are on YouTube, but, you know, I use Cozy. I built Cozy, I'm on Cozy, but I use it because you go on YouTube and it's a broken platform. Like, I try to find news about like Russia or whatever, and it's all, anything that's important, the search algorithms curate it. And so you'll get NBC, CB. It's like, I don't want to watch ABC. You know, I want to watch some autist tell me like some arcane conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? So that's why I like, you know, people
so wait,
like
Cozy, did Cozy launch last October? Why did I feel, well, you've been doing a show for a long time, but you started Cozy last October, like that launch. Okay. I was just under the influence that it's been around for a while, just because I know your show's been on for a while.
Was Destiny's, when you did the debate with Destiny on Russia and Ukraine, did he put that on his YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he always
he doesn't have a Cozy channel, does he?
He does.
He does.
Yeah, but he doesn't use it.
Oh wait, he does. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The two of you are interesting. You guys are cool, but
we're kind of like best friends now. I mean, I hate to brag, but yeah, we're kind of like BFFs.
Okay, all right.
Do you know a friend of mine in New York he's a big fan of Destiny, and he was watching the show, and I think in preparation for that debate, he pulled up a clip of Nick on our show.
Oh,
and he was like, hey, man, you're on Destiny's stream right now. And I went, whoa.
That debate was like the Super Bowl. I was waiting for it. I was like, where is he? I was like, come on, Nick, where is he? And everyone in the chat was like, where is he? Where is he? And then when the screen went black, he's coming on. Nick's coming on. He's coming on. It was like the Super Bowl. The girl who does my eyebrows is like a massive fan of you.
Really?
And so every time I go, I lay back and she's doing my eyebrows. And she's like, oh my gosh, do you know that Nick's going to debate Destiny on Russia and Ukraine? And I'm like texting her. I'm like, where is he? Is he there yet?
What are her demographics?
The wax girl?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like she actually has a few dudes who come in, I think.
No. What demographics is probably the wrong word. What is she? What does she look like?
Oh, she's a white Catholic girl.
Okay, based.
She's a little bit too old for you, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's 30.
Oh yeah,
That's too old for you.
Yeah, that's a little old for
I
me.
mean,
Yeah. I mean, you want to.
yeah,
go
you need
younger than yourself.
not that
yeah.
she's not young, but you need someone younger.
That's right.
Yeah, you need
right,
young
right.
and
A little more
sprightly and
vitality.
a little more fertile.
Yeah,
Sure.
right. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
a little more
That's the right
fertile.
word, fertile.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, it's true.
Do you know that? Do you know that all women in the womb have all of the eggs that they're ever gonna have
Yes.
while they're in the
Yeah. So
it's insane.
my
So
grandchildren, the eggs of my grandchildren were in my uterus when my daughter was in my uterus.
Wow.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
isn't that
I've heard that
crazy?
before, yeah.
How have you been feeling? I mean, this is not a question that anyone submitted, which I was kind of disappointed about. But have you been feeling about the possible overturning of Roe v. Wade?
Oh, I'm very supportive of it, very excited about it. And honestly, I was surprised that it happened because, well, it hasn't happened yet. So it's a little presumptuous. But, you know, we've gotten some really disappointing rulings from these Trump-appointed justices, specifically Kavanaugh and Barrett. And so that they even took this case up, I mean, I guess it was inevitable because the states are pushing back against it because there's a conservative majority. But I was very pleased to see not just that the majority, at least in the draft opinion, voted to overturn Roe, but also their justification. They said, you know, not only is Roe without grounds in the Constitution, but so is gay marriage, so is sodomy, so is all these things.
Right.
So I think it's a really exciting time to be a social conservative, finally.
That's why the reaction from the left is like, if it's this now, it's going to be gay marriage next. Okay, sure. Remember that video that we were watching about Jeff Durbin debating with those girls?
Yeah.
The girl that you were like, oh, I can't stand her. It's a Catholic girl who is pro-choice.
Catholic.
How do you explain that? How would one explain that? You can't, right?
I mean, any Christian. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of liberal Catholics, unfortunately. Like most Catholics they're not like real Catholics. They don't even really know the doctrine, and they're not conservative. It's unfortunate that Catholicism in America, I regret to say, has been kind of like a force for so-called social justice, which is unfortunate. And really, the so-called traditional Catholics are really in the minority, the ones that really believe the true thing.
What is Mel Gibson? Mel Gibson, I was reading somewhere, is a certain sect of Catholicism that is super, I think, traditional conservative. Look it up. Be like, what kind of Catholic is Mel Gibson?
He's a Sedevacantist.
Yeah, what is that?
So he believes, there's some Catholics, I think this is Protestantism for what it's worth, but there are Catholics that believe that, you know, so obviously Catholicism is based around the Bishop of Rome, and the Bishop of Rome being the Pope and being therefore having primacy and supremacy in terms of doctrine. And there are these Catholics, sede vacant means the seat is vacant. The seat of the Bishop of Rome is vacant. And so they believe that at some point, people go way back, some people go back 60 years, but they say at some point, the succession was illegitimate, and that means the seat is open.
Oh, really?
So they don't recognize the authority of the church.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, that doesn't sound Catholic.
Yeah, it's not. Because, I mean, like, how is that different than Martin Luther? That's Martin Luther with extra steps, you know what I mean? So
that's kind of why I find Orthodoxy a little bit appealing at the moment, just because they're not run by the Pope. They have no...
Do you know much about Orthodoxy?
I don't know very much, but I know a little bit.
Because both of us are kind of interested independently, strangely enough.
Yeah.
But I have a question now that we're on Catholicism. Why do you think that Catholicism has become so liberal? Why are so many Catholics liberal?
Well, I think that the church has basically been infiltrated. I think that, and you know, the Sedevacantists, they will point this out as a justification for why they think the Pope has no authority. But they are right that the church was infiltrated, you know, like 60 years ago by Freemasons and homosexuals and some Jewish people. And they pushed the church in a totally new liberal direction. So, I mean, that's a big issue. And also, historically, you've got these American ethnics, which were Democrat, and a lot of them were Catholic. So, like in these big machine politics cities like Chicago or New York or, you know, these kinds of places. So,
but it's so weird because it seems like outside American Catholics seem more conservative in a way. Like American Catholics don't seem conservative at all. Like you always talk about Orthodox Jews, like vote conservative, you know, because that they are actually following and practicing their religion. But there was a story that I saw that it was I think it was Nigerian or Kenyan. It was like Nigerian lawyer sues Israel and Italy for killing Christ again. And I was like, that's just super base. Like no one in America would ever even think about doing that.
I feel like South American Catholics are very liberal too, generally, right?
I don't know. I don't think they necessarily are. I think they're traditional in terms of like, like religious practices and
even like views on abortion. I think like, especially like Latin American people probably have very, very ill feelings towards abortion outside of the States, I think.
Yeah.
I guess so, because my husband's from Brazil, and, most people are Catholic where he grew up, and they're like very against gay marriage. It's like, they would be considered homophobic here.
Yeah.
But which is just
what was your question for the Catholics? Oh, why do you see your church as the truth? You want to find out from a Catholic.
I always ask, why is the Catholic Church the one true church?
Well, I think that, so, I'm not like a theologian. A lot of Catholics jump down my throat because they're like, that's not the best defense or the best definition. But, I was baptized Catholic. I was raised confirmed Catholic, but I didn't really fully understand it until I was in college and kind of embrace it. And I came at it from this problem of authority. Christ comes and he really builds a church with his disciples. And specifically, we say Peter because Christ says, I'm going to build my church on this rock, which is Peter in the Bible. But also, you've got this problem of authority where there's this real problem in Protestantism and even in Orthodoxy where the doctrine actually really matters because this concerns your eternal destiny. Like we need to know how we're going to be saved, because if we don't know, then we can't be saved and then we go to hell. And that's a big problem. And so there can't really be too much ambiguity about how you're going to be saved. And so that's the problem with these Protestants where they say, well, I have this individual interpretation. Well, I'm reading the Bible in my own way. I have my own relationship. That's great. What if you're wrong? That's a big problem. Mm-hmm. And so with Catholicism, you have a unity which proceeds from one, which is the Pope. There's one guy protected from error by Christ because Christ said the gates of hell don't prevail over the church. And as long as, we have a representative of Christ on earth leading a true church, then there's no ambiguity. We know what the doctrine is. And the further that you go away from that authority, the more you're prone to error. And this is where you get like transgender priests and like gay bishops. And well, I guess Catholics have, gay priests and stuff, which is a problem. But you have Protestants that celebrate and accept that, flying like gay pride flags and supporting abortion or feminism. I mean, there's a Lutheran church in Chicago where they said like Jesus was trans. And like that's the kind of thing that eventually you're given to. It, because the church lasts for 2,000 years. 2,000 years is a long time, and an only human institution would be given to telephone game or these kinds of compounding errors, where if you have one guy that says this is the way it is, you don't have that problem. So that's why it makes the most sense, but there's probably better theological arguments for it.
Yeah, I like that.
How did that do?
Yeah, I mean, that was good. I mean, we kind of talked about it last time. I've been very interested in Catholicism over the past couple of years. I grew up Protestant, and then, in my 20s was idiot liberal. Or as Gavin said it when he came on, he was like, yeah, so I heard your story, how you an idiot liberal slut in your 20s. And then I was like, atheist, agnostic. And then I say kind of like came back to Christ in my late 20s. But I've always been very interested in Catholicism because I like the tradition. I really like... I like the tradition of it. There's a lot about the Protestant churches that is just kind of like, stop, just no. You know what I mean? And when I was living in DC, I was going to a Catholic church and I was going to Catholic Bible study and was really liking it. But,
Even now, like Nick was talking about, that even Catholicism is being kind of corrupted. And I kind of see it that the only area that really isn't, I mean, I don't know because I'm kind of ignorant to it, would be Orthodoxy.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious about that.
I like the decentralized aspect of Orthodoxy. That's what I really like. I just got a couple books in Orthodoxy, and I'm praying that God will show me the way.
There's a great Orthodox Instagram called Death of the World.
Oh,
really, really cool.
Okay.
Really like just they kind of have this kind of indie DIY art aspect to it, which kind of gets you hooked into the actual I almost said girth, but the actual like stuff that they're talking about, I can't really.
I don't think I'm looking at the wrong one, but we'll find it.
Yeah, I'll put it up there somewhere in the comments. Maybe Death of the World.
Yeah.
But yeah, Orthodoxy.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we did the Catholicism thing.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of questions for Nick.
So many questions. I posted it just last night.
Yeah.
And got tons within just a couple hours.
I picked some good ones only because I figured like this can lead into different conversations as we read these questions. So why don't we just start off? This is from, who is it? Conabrad. Do you have any critiques of the internet troll approach to political discourse?
No, I like it because
I knew.
Who could have guessed that?
I knew Nick was going to say that.
surprise, you know. Well, I just hate convention. I hate convention, and a big part of like my tactical thinking is that the game is rigged. And if we're going to try to play like their game, we're going to lose because they have more resources. They've been doing it longer. They know how to do it better. So, you know, I talk about this a lot on my show. It's like Turning Point USA has moved closer to us than we've moved to them in terms of our worldview. And that's reflective of the fact that clearly our message is winning. Our tactic is winning. Why would we then adopt the approach of the people that are kind of losing the ideas battle? The free market stuff is out. You know, the stuff that we talk about is in. And so point being, you know, I could go and do a student leadership summit and do the kinds of things that they do, but they could do it better. The billionaires, the billionaire-backed organizations can always do that better. And so to me, the real goal is to be sort of shocking the system like Trump did, doing things that are unpredictable, that they don't have a playbook for, and really just breaking the sort of bias towards lethargy. You know, the system has momentum. The status quo sort of perpetuates itself. Our goal is not necessarily to offer like a precise alternative. It's to just batter the status quo and knock it off course. Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I like trolling. Because, yeah, it's outrageous, it's provocative, it's offensive, but they can't respond. They can't calculate. No focus group can come up with a response to it. And that's why it's appealing.
I mean, why play by their rules when they're constantly changing the rules anyway?
Right.
You know, it's like you're playing into it.
Yeah, but not everybody could be a troll, too. Like, those people can be kind of easily broken down. There takes a certain special sort of person to be a troll. Because especially, like, I mean, look at you, someone who I guess you would self-identify as a bit of a troll, right? But when you have these long-form discussions with someone like Destiny, or if you're speaking, and then if you kind of help to create AFPAC, it's like it's not something that a troll can sustain, you know what I mean? But someone like you can do that. Yeah, so I think it takes a very special person.
I think Nick presents as a troll, and then that's where all the comments come. He's a white nationalist, white supremacist, but none of them watch your show. And so I think that's when I watched your show for the first time, I was like, okay, I see the meat of what he's talking about.
Yeah,
now,
you can take a 5-second clip out of context because we all have our no context and stuff like that. But when you get into the show, right? Exactly.
I missed that Nick J. Fuentes out of context.
Oh yeah,
so good.
There's no Instagram one.
I don't think so, but I just missed that Twitter. It was so good. It was just 10-second video after 10-second video. It's just so good.
Yeah, they were good. Well, and the trolling is about, it's sort of like giving them back what they give us, because it's sort of this resignation of, okay, they're obviously not acting in good faith. You know, when they go on the news, they lie. And when they, like this Taylor Lorenz character from the Washington Post, it's just this like ceaseless hypocrisy. And the trolling is just sort of a middle finger. It's like, we don't respect the institutions. We don't respect the democracy, the sacred temple. Forget all that. And so I'm good faith with people that are good faith, you know, if people are willing to sit down and talk. But if you're going to, you know, say, oh, you're a white nationalist Holocaust denier, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, now we'll do the trolling.
Right.
You
It's
know?
like,
So,
well, yeah, exactly. Like, why would I want to talk to you? You're a racist. Like, okay. We
all
don't
right,
have
then let's
anything to talk
fucking play
about.
this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anastasia ALU, do you think there's significant division within America First?
No, I think that unlike a lot of political movements, there's very little division, and it's sort of how it's set up, because it is like admittedly like a personality cult. I mean, like people call it that. It's not like a real cult, because real cults can like kill people and extract money, and unfortunately I can't do any of that.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, everyone's like, oh, he's like this cult leader. It's like, well, the minute that I get to kill my opponents, you know, then you could call it a cult. Okay?
Right.
But until then,
Nobody like Nick. It's just like,
it's jokes. Just, I'm kidding. But it is like, you know, it's carried by my personality, which is to say that it sort of unifies around sometimes it's like a very unimpressive figure, but they're the manager of a group and they manage the donor relations or whatever. But with me, it's obviously based on a show, based really on the weight of my personality. And so the benefit of that is that there's really kind of like a singular vision. I'm really just kind of putting out, what the messaging is. And, I'm kind of the bigger fish in the group, and so that's kind of how it is. But then there's also downsides to that as well, because if if people think like I'm not doing a good job, then it's on my shoulders too. So, but the benefit is there's not a lot of divisiveness, and that's extremely important because that's what they do.
Well, the rumblings of divisiveness, is that just a kind of tactic to maybe discredit the organization, or is it people who are kind of like, I want more power, or I want more attention, and then they're just saying these type of things? Well, it just seems like high school politics when what it all comes down to. Really. So,
it's a young movement, so you got young guys, immature, and so there's been some recently some notable departures, I'll say, but I think it's a testament to how solid America First is that whenever anybody flames out for whatever reason, they really just kind of go.
Right.
There's never been a civil war. There's never been a proper schism. It's like somebody makes a stink and then they're just kind of unanimously ostracized by consensus. And
that naturally happens with any movement or organization or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Humans.
Let's see. Zach Smith 0. Seems like Trump isn't the same Trump. Are you off the train at the moment?
Well, I'm not off the train, but yeah, he's not the same guy. He was changed by DC. People hate to admit that, but it's true. He went in one guy, DC changed him, and now he's somebody else. Not entirely, but in the way that he operates.
Do you think he's getting more out of touch, especially with that Pennsylvania rally and backing Dr. Oz?
Oh, yeah. Well, with that and with the vaccines and with, there's so much there. A good friend of mine said in 2016 he ran as an independent, in 2020 he ran as a Republican.
Right.
He's fully in Republican mode. And I hate it because I like Trump when he got out there and he was I think we talked about this last time, not to, fall back into it, but he would go out there.
Let's reminisce.
Yeah, it was good. He would go out there and say, George Bush, 9/11 happened under your brother to Jeb Bush. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that.
Yeah, so
and
good.
Now he goes out
Low
there.
energy Jeb.
Yeah, this classic.
That was so good.
Please clap.
Yeah. And now it's just not the same.
Well, the thing about Trump in 2016 that people really don't like to admit is that he won on platform. He had a really great platform. I've said this a couple times on the show. He was willing to talk about something that hardly anybody had the guts to talk about, mass immigration.
Yeah.
And I really think that invigorated a huge voter base and really brought people out and said, hey, yes, this is a problem. Nobody's willing to talk about it. And then in 2020, it's just what was his platform really? His platform was okay, and not Biden. You're old.
I made the vaccine.
Yeah. Cool.
But in 2016, he had a really strong platform. And I think people like to discredit that and say, he only won because he's a reality TV show and Americans are dumb. But no, he invigorated a lot of people to get to the polls and say, we want somebody who's going to take care of the border. Yeah. And we need that again.
And last time you were here, I think I asked, do you want him to run again? And I think you responded positively.
Yes.
So still, does that still hold?
Yeah, because he's still the best that there is. And that's not even so much anymore a credit to him. It's really just that there's nobody else.
Yeah.
No one else.
Running on mass immigration, speaking of immigration, because now people are talking about this whole great replacement theory, everything like that. But Democrats for the last, God knows how many years have been talking about demographic changes. Whites are going to be a minority in the future. Demographics are destiny. So they can say that all they want. But as soon as anyone who's remotely conservative says, well, you know what? A lot of immigrants are coming to this country. They're being bussed in. They vote heavily Democrat. So, as a conservative, you can see how this is a problem. And then all of a sudden you're a racist white supremacist who's responsible for shootings in Buffalo. So I don't understand how that works. And one of the questions was, we can jump ahead to that now because I guess we can kind of talk about
Buffalo
that.
Guy?
Yeah, Samantha Grant wanted to know, what is your take on the Buffalo shooting?
Well, the guy was clearly mentally ill, because they went back and he wore a hazmat suit because he was afraid of COVID and he had threatened to shoot up the school. And so, and my take on this is that the white supremacy thing is really an expression of antisocial. I think that's the most antisocial thing a person can be. And so here you've got somebody who clearly has some kind of antisocial personality defect, which is why you have this paranoia about COVID, why he's threatening to shoot up the school. He's got problems. And then, so did this person find a really invigorating political doctrine, or is that the most out there offensive thing? And I said this on my show on Monday, a couple days after the shooting, whatever you think about what happened, it really doesn't change the facts. A guy could go out and shoot up a bunch of people because he says the sky is blue. The sky is still blue.
Right.
And I condemn violence. It's not something I support, obviously, but I'm a Christian, especially prejudicial violence, which I think is worse. But the white genocide is occurring. And, he went and shot up the place because of he plagiarized most of it from Brenton Tarrant, the Christchurch shooter.
Yeah.
I think that's a horrendous thing to do, but it doesn't change the facts, which is, it's plain math. Whites are not at replacement levels of, their fertility rate is below whatever it is, 2.1. And we've got mass immigration coming in, and the non-white people have a higher than replacement level fertility rate. It's math.
But what's insane is that Democrats will also say if Roe v. Wade is overturned, what you are doing is you are stimulating white supremacy in the white population growing again.
Right, because you're stopping more black babies from being born or
Right, but
also.
the funny thing is, pro-abortion people, they don't realize that more babies are aborted in New York City than are born every year. So it's just like, black babies. So it's saying you're totally being a hypocrite right now, where you think that pro-life people are somehow going to boost the white race, when in fact, anyone who's quote unquote pro-life, they're advocating for the population rise of minorities. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that does. It is kind of weird because it's like at the same time it's like they don't want minority babies to be born because they're always advocating for Planned Parenthood in these inner cities.
Imagine a mass shooting happens and then someone on MSNBC says, "Oh, it's because of white supremacy and abortion." Like, are you serious? Why isn't it just a mentally ill person did something horrible?
That's really. I want to go back to what you're saying. That's really interesting. The numbers. White people are dying out in this country.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They call it, every time it's in the news, they say it's a conspiracy theory, it's the debunked, hateful ideology, it's a virulently violent ideology.
Yeah.
It's arithmetic. The white population is not replacing itself in the sense of you're not having enough white babies to replace the white people that are dying. So the absent immigration, if there were only whites in the country, the population would be shrinking. And this is part of, there are a lot of reasons why they bring immigrants in. It's for electoral reasons. It's for GDP. They want cheap labor. They want high-skilled labor. They also need to support the Social Security safety net, because you have like 2 people paying in for every beneficiary right now. So they just need this constant growth. Right. It's a big part of like neoliberalism. I know that word's tossed around a lot, but it applies here. And in any case, where are they extracting these people? They're pulling them from non-white countries. And this is a significant thing that's happening. And we could talk about it descriptively without making a judgment and say that the country was 90% white, and in the future, it will be less than 50% white.
Wow.
And that's going to be 2040. That's going to happen.
I have crazy.
You know what I have a feeling? I have a feeling Louis Farrakhan would say the same exact thing because he's noticing a change that's happening. He would say the same exact thing, and people wouldn't get as upset as if Nick were saying
it's always
it.
like that. Well, it's like the same thing when he talks about interracial marriage. You hear Killer Mike and Dr. Umar Johnson say the same exact thing, and they're like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense." Okay,
right.
yeah,
but as soon as Nick says
black babies, yeah.
But
as soon as he says it, he's obviously the devil.
Oh gosh. Okay, here's from Allie from CNC has an interesting question. There are tons of young women in the America First movement. Why aren't guys pursuing them?
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they are. Yeah, if anything, that's like, it's a problem in the other direction.
Yeah,
there's too much pursuing going on. That was a problem with my one of my employees recently. Is that's all he wanted to do was pursue the women in the AF movement. Yeah. So I think they're pursuing them.
Okay. I wonder what would give her the impression that they're not.
I don't know. Maybe because they all come off as incels. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
On.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Here's Gaz the Tank 74. This is an interesting question. It's, from the plethora of questions that we got, I thought this was one of the most interesting. What's the difference between giving money to Rome and giving money to Israel?
That's a good question. Well, giving money to Rome, you're giving money to, technically, the Vatican is a nation state. It is, it's a micronation or whatever. But the difference is the government is not giving money to Vatican City. The government is taxing the people, stealing their money. I know you're a libertarian, right?
No, not so much anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, but.
Oh, okay. Based. Based. Yeah. I thought last time you were more libertarian.
No, kind of. Maybe I wasn't pressed on too many. What do you think I said that may have?
I don't know. I had that in the back
it
of my
was
head.
the tattoos.
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
They all have the
Yeah, no, not so much libertarian anymore. A couple of years ago, probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not so much anymore.
Well, in any case, they're taking the money. They're taking the money from Americans, and then they're sending it to Israel. And there is a lot of private charity to Israel, which is whatever. If people want to give their money to Israel, that's their prerogative. But they're the number one recipient of foreign aid, and that should raise eyebrows. It's like, because it's not a huge sum. $3.8 billion in the grand scheme of things is not a ton.
Well, not anymore now that Ukraine exists, right?
Yeah, now it's 40, 50, 60 billion. Right. But in the grand scheme of things, though, we've given a lot, because it's not just the 3.8. There's other dimensions to the aid. I consider the Iraq War a form of aid,
right?
Frankly. But in any case, it's really just more to expose this sort of like special relationship. And if they're such a rich country, why are we bankrolling them? And, why would they be more deserving of the aid than like any other ally or any other country?
Right.
Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's a difference, because it's like if the government were giving money to, well, I honestly wouldn't have a big problem.
Right, exactly. You wouldn't know.
Because it's a Christian, because it's Catholic. These people over here, they're just doing their thing. They're just making their Jewish country, which it's like,
So the American government doesn't give any aid or anything to the Vatican, right? Like, or do they any like subsidies or any sort of like special permissions or anything like that?
They might give aid. They give aid to a lot of countries, but it's negligible. I don't think it's in like the top.
So most
10.
of the money going to the Vatican is coming from Catholics from around the world.
Right, exactly.
Right. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you, Gaz the Tank 74. Okay, Luke Segura wants to know, should we still focus on converting neocons?
I would say no, only because I don't think there's a lot of them left anymore. I don't see a lot of Gen Z neocons, and when I do, I think it's a joke. I'll see these people on Twitter or on TikTok, and they're like, George W. Bush was a good president. And I'm like, what planet did you come from?
It's
like,
gotta
you
be
an alien?
satire. Yeah, I haven't even seen anything.
Do you think
like
it is that? It has to be, right?
It's gotta be.
Yeah,
No,
like what
no young
20-year-old
Gen
is
Z
reading
or-
like George
no.
W. Bush biographies and going, yeah, that guy.
But maybe there's probably a couple out there.
You think so?
Maybe.
I have to say, I was one when I was in high school, but that was like a long time ago. It was like 8 years ago. But I do see, it's like this Daily Wire crowd. It's like a lot of these. There's like a new neocon thing, which is cropping up. It doesn't look like the old thing, but it's very much the same. It's the people that are like backing Ukraine, and it's the conservatives backing Ukraine and saying like, we've got to defend our vital interests and democratic principles. Yeah. That's neocon, and to me. And this like saber rattling with China, even to me, that's in some sense. I mean, that's not proper neoconservatism, but it's the same kind of like hawkishness, like supporting the military-industrial complex, this ridiculous kind of policy, this like promotion of global American hegemony.
Right.
So like when people say we got to stick it to China, I'm like, why? Why do we need to do that?
Yeah.
China's not like Europe. They're insular. The reason they didn't get colonies 500 years ago is because they said we don't need anything from the world. So that's
Japan,
what people
too.
don't understand. Yeah. So, they think like China's going to be this imperial. They're not like us in that way. They're going to be a competitor. As China rises, America necessarily recedes. But the unipolar moment is not sustainable. It won't go on forever. So this is inevitable, and we should accept this. We're not in decline in absolute terms, but in relative terms, we are. But that's not a problem, because we're declining from being an uncontested hyperpower, which could never be sustained. And China's resuming their role as a preeminent global power from where they were, 500 years ago. So in other words, anybody that's resisting this is ideologically poisoned by neoconservatism.
Yeah. So one of your videos that we posted to our Instagram when you talked about Russia, That got a lot of attention.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, a lot of attention. So much so that there was a Hollywood director who I had been talking to about. There was another issue that we were talking about, and then he started being like super Ukraine. So I said, hey, a friend came on our show, talked about this. He had a really unique perspective about it. I'm going to send this to you. So he watched it. I'll tell you who it is after. So he watched it, and he was like, okay, yeah, I see where this kid's coming from. There's some valid stuff in here, but ultimately he was like, yeah, I don't care about any of this. As it stands today, are you still pretty much holding to a lot of what you were talking about? Are things unfolding in the way that you are predicting or that you have predicted before? What's going on in Russia? I kind of stopped paying attention to it.
I'm 100% pro-Russia. I'm in there for Putin every day. We're praying for him. We're praying for the brave Russian soldiers.
Is it over? Is it like effectively?
No.
They're playing golf tournaments in Ukraine. I mean,
it's not over. They're engaged in this battle for the liberation of Donbass.
Okay.
And some have said last week they said they're winding down. They say that they're going to annex Kherson, which is just north of Crimea, and they need that for like water rights. And I think they want to connect Russia to Crimea by land.
Is that another peninsula or
it's
similar
just
to what
north of Crimea? So it connects Crimea to the to the continent.
Okay.
But there's no signs on the ground of the conflict stopping. They said that last week. There's a rumor that they're going to declare victory, but it's going well because the NATO approach, the American approach was they're going to try and destroy the Russian economy, and they can't do it because the Russian economy is a real economy. They make energy, they make food, they make things. So, I mean, we can sanction them and cut them off from international trade. We can seize their currency, but they have real wealth, which is commodities. They have real wealth, which is titanium, it's copper, it's nickel, polished nickel, all these kinds of things. And so where the Europeans, for example, don't buy the natural gas, they just sell it to China.
Right.
Where they don't buy the oil, they sell it to China and India. And so actually they're recording their largest surplus, government surplus, in 28 years.
Really?
And the ruble is now at the highest it's been since 2017 after they tried to destroy the currency.
Right, okay. So they bounced back from that.
Big time, yeah. And their economy grew in the first quarter of 2022. Really? Our economy shrank. Their economy grew by, I think, 3.5%.
What was going on with this news of, was it Finland and Norway joining NATO or?
Sweden and
Sweden,
Finland, yeah.
Sweden and Finland? Okay, does that impact Russia negatively in that whole... what's going on over there?
Yeah, it's not good for them. And but Turkey is trying to stonewall that. Turkey's a NATO member, and they need a consensus from the member states to admit new members. And Turkey says that Sweden and Finland are harboring the PKK, which is the Kurdish Workers' Party, which are terrorists in Turkey. So they say, well, you harbor terrorists, we don't want you in NATO. But really, they're doing it for Russia because Russia and Turkey are developing a closer relationship. But they may be admitted anyway. Turkey may just be trying to extract concessions. But, them joining NATO is a big mistake because that's how we got here, was this, like, NATO expansion without considering the security interests of Russia. So, I just question, like, what's the end game here? Do we want war with Russia? Because we're in a war with Russia right now. It's a hybrid war, but it's a war.
Right.
So
who are you more weary of us getting into a more deeper situation with, Russia or China?
Well, China's more powerful, because they've got the human capital. They've got an educated, relatively wealthier middle class. Their GDP is going to blow past ours because they just have more people. It's just more people.
And that was the Trump position, right? He was always saying, "Who are you more worried about?" And he was saying China.
Yeah. Russia's should not be a concern at all. And I talked about this on my show this week. It's like, if anything, the United States and Russia, if you strip away the baggage of the Cold War, we share a common foe in China, because Russia shares a large border with China, and Russia will be competing with China for Central Asia. Russia didn't just lose the Baltic states and Ukraine and Belarus when the Soviet Union was dismembered. They lost all of Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all the stands. And that's a lot of land. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of resources. They have a military base, I think, in Tajikistan. And so, and that's going to be a battleground for China now with the Belt and Road Initiative. So when you share a long border with China, who's becoming a burgeoning power, and you share this sort of contested area in the Middle East and in Central Asia, naturally, just by proximity, China's a greater threat to Russia than the United States should be.
Right.
But we're like, we can't let it go. We can't let go of the Cold War.
Let it go. Let it go, guys. What are you doing? So stupid. This person's name is also God. Reasonably retarded wants to know what consumers do to grow the movement.
Well, you know, a lot of people are just spreading the message by word of mouth, which is good to see, you know, just telling people about it. They're making edits on TikTok. That's the best thing. I love seeing the edits on TikTok because we're banned on TikTok. That's like the #1 platform right now to go viral on.
Yeah, we're going viral on there. Yeah.
It's very weird. I mean, obviously the majority of comments and things like that are overwhelmingly left, but the numbers on the right aren't as small as they were maybe like 6 months ago. Like I see kind of TikTok starting to grow like more right.
It's exploding.
Day.
Yeah, we just posted a video yesterday, was it? The day before, where I was talking about abortion
plays.
and I said 99.5% of abortions are elective, and I said hoes being hoes. You just aborting your baby because you don't feel like waking up early. You don't want to, I don't know, you just don't want the responsibility. And it's got almost 500,000 views already.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's crazy. I mean, it's just, and I
so surprised it hasn't been taken down.
I'm shocked because the weirdest things get taken down on
Like
TikTok.
they took down a video of Amir
They did.
for hate speech.
Yeah, well, I think because, is that the N-word?
No, Amir is a black
But he's
man.
black.
He's a black man talking about how he doesn't make his sexuality his identity.
Oh, that's
what he
was.
was talking about.
Right,
And it was taken down for hate speech.
Yeah, they just took down another one of my videos for harassment and bullying when I explained that this whole argument of you're only pro-life until the baby's born. And I said, well, that's the dumbest thing in the world because conservative religious people donate the most time, money, and resources to all the organizations that help moms and babies and families, whatever. It got taken down for harassment.
Who are you harassing?
I don't know, hoes.
I guess. Yeah.
Anyway, but TikTok is the place now.
Yeah.
And it's got a growing conservative presence of Gen Zers.
I still don't like spending a lot of time on it. I really don't. If any, I check it once a day. Done.
Yeah, you just gotta. I just have to
China.
get on, post it, and put the phone away.
It's a time suck. I can't like break myself away from it. I get
know.
on there and I'm just like put it down.
I know, it's
it's
like-
so good. There's
What's
so much
your
good
favorite? What's your
easy.
favorite content on TikTok?
Well, my favorite videos are like these like Chinese guys where they have like one of these crusher machines and they just throw stuff in this like machine.
Oh,
I've
like the
seen
pressure
stuff like
crusher?
that.
Yeah, like to see how long it takes to crush an apple or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Those are the videos that you're into on
I
TikTok?
know it's simple, yeah, but like the DIY type stuff, like
Oh, cleaning cars? Guys that detail their cars?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are great. They're like 3-minute long videos of a guy cleaning the upholstery with a toothbrush.
Such a guy thing. Yeah.
yeah,
True, yeah, I
It's
guess.
just it's an endless. There's like stuff about Chicago architecture. It's like
It just goes down so easy.
yeah,
Just,
yeah, oh yeah.
it's so easy to consume.
The algorithm's so different than Instagram.
Really different.
really is.
Yeah, and even if you get banned, even if you get not banned, even if your stuff censored and taken down, they don't punish you in terms of pushing the rest of your content. So even if we have a video taken down, that video of Amir, you can post something an hour later and
Right.
it will still go viral.
Right.
You don't get punished the way that Instagram
We
does.
did get banned for 6 days. We couldn't post for 6 days. That's
Yeah,
because I
we
think
did.
we had removal after removal after removal.
Oh, that was because of the trans stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's like trans is the easiest thing to get banned for.
Oh,
yeah.
If you quote misgender somebody, even though it's correctly.
We did, but we didn't, though. We were just talking about the psychological factors of transgender.
Oh yeah, because I think they said I said they're mentally ill, because they are. But
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Okay. Bucker T. McIntyre wants to know, would you label yourself an ethnic nationalist, and what do you think makes someone an American?
I would not call myself an ethnic nationalist. You know, it's sort of this false dichotomy that's existed for a long time where people say, are you a civic nationalist or an ethnic nationalist? And civic nationalist means that you think national identity is a civic identity, meaning like you're a citizen and you like vote and you believe in the Bill of Rights or whatever. And ethnic nationalist says, well, your nationhood is your ethnicity. You know, like the French are France and the Germans are Germany. But of course, it's a lot more complicated than that because America is, it's this pioneer nation. It's a settler nation, colonial project that turned into a country. And now it's turned into something like an empire. And so are we more comparable to a country of like 80 million like Germany with a deep history? Or are we more comparable to a country like Russia with 150 million, or a country like China? And when you look at these other countries like Russia and China, which are more like empire type countries, you've got an ethnic core, the Han Chinese or the ethnic European Russians, but they also govern different kinds of people. You know, China governs the Tibetans and the Uyghurs and the Manchurians, the Mongolians. The Russians govern the Tatars and the people in the Caucasus and the Chechens and lots of different kinds of people. And so in America, we historically were a white country, but we drew from all kinds of places in Europe. You had founding stock, but you also had a lot of Germans and Irish and Italians and other people. And then you always had a black minority. And then you always had some Hispanics and Asians regionally in like the West Coast and in Texas. And so, you know, to say, well, if I'm an ethnic nationalist, does that mean that only the English are the Americans? Well, that doesn't really quite work.
Right.
So I would say that we have to define, like, what do we think of when we think of an American? It doesn't mean that like a black person isn't an American, but I think that when a foreigner thinks about an American, they think about like a tall white guy, like with an English name, a Christian, maybe a Protestant. And, you know, we have to be kind of like okay with that as like the avatar of our country, because those were the people that made the country. Those are the people that settled the country. It doesn't mean that other people aren't Americans, but it's like when you think of a German, does it mean that only like Germans live in Germany? There's all kinds of different Germans. You know, but what would we generally think of? We think of like Hitler, probably. Besides that, you know, like blonde hair, blue-eyed,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
You think of a Russian. You think of like a Slavic profile. Doesn't mean only Slavs live in Russia. And same with Chinese. You think of like a little Han Chinese man, like a little shopkeeper, like that sells noodles or something. You know, get out of my shop. Something like in Kung Fu Panda.
I don't even know why I laugh at the shit he says.
I do.
No offense.
I don't even know why
She's not Chinese.
Yeah, I'm not Chinese. No, but I get that. It's like, I don't know why we're so afraid to say we live in a majority white country. And you see all these dummies, they're like, I feel really offended. I walked into a room and it's majority white people. I'm like, because you live in America, dumb.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
Exactly.
I mean, even as somebody who's not like, I don't look white, you know, I'm a Korean and Italian or whatever. But like, when I think of the quintessential American, is a white dude. And I don't know why that's such a bad thing. It's not. It doesn't like dehumanize me or dehumanize a black person. It's just what it is.
And you know what? In 400 or 500 years, if this place still exists, it's going to look completely different. That's just what it is. It's just the objective reality. I think so. I mean, it depends on which direction the country moves.
Do we want it to look different in 400 to 500 years?
I don't know. I'm not going to be around. So what kind of opinion can I have?
Yeah, but our kids are.
Yeah, sure. And I'm interested to see what it's going to look like. Obviously, I can't control who they marry. I mean, I could, talk about, the ideas about, hey, like this sort of mixing of ethnicities. And it kind of sucks because we're all products of, mixed marriages.
Stick with your own. Like
right, exactly.
That's right.
And the more I say that to my daughter, the more she is probably going to rebel against that. So who knows? But I mean...
So then you just got to tell her to marry a black guy.
Right,
That's
exactly.
What you gotta do.
Well, who knows?
Marry a black guy, honey, and then she'll marry a white dude.
But like I said, it's not that I'm
psychology.
not concerned about it. It's just I'm not going to be around to necessarily see what it looks like. So I'm just guessing that it probably won't look the same.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. But, I'm okay with America being thought of as like Tom Cruise or like Donald Trump.
Right,
because
exactly.
people are like, well, you're Mexican. It's like, and I'm fine with that. I can live with that.
Right.
I'm Mexican, Italian, and Irish, and I can live with that. The people that built America, they built a pretty great country. Like who put us on the moon? It was
Allegedly.
German science, allegedly.
Well,
right?
we've been there. It's just that footage was fake.
I don't even
That's
think
right.
we've
You
been
don't
there.
think I think we've been there.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
I think we've been
Wait,
there. That
hold on.
footage is totally
Sidebar.
doctored.
Are dinosaurs real?
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
I think
All right.
dragons were real.
Whoa.
Like flying dragons?
Hold on a second.
Maybe.
Dragons?
What's a pterodactyl? It's a dragon.
Oh, wow. Well,
Right.
kind of
What
like a
do you-
big bird.
We have to ask him next.
Okay. Yeah. But
I don't know if he has a strong
well,
opinion. but we have to
I
ask him.
wanted to say, I was like, your name is Mexican. You're not Mexican. So anyone to say like, well, you're Mexican. It's just like, what are you dumb, dude? Like, come on. Like, anyway. So welcome to another new segment in the I'm Doing Great podcasts. Mike, the pitbull apologist, asks the guest, do you like pitbulls?
No. I think they should all be killed.
Okay.
I
See,
think they should
now
all be turned in. And
this is like when we have a fourth camera that is just like
I thought he might have been like, but
Really?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
So wait, have you?
Knowing Nick.
Do you know the rumblings that I'm a big pitbull apologist?
He is
Really?
like a
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Nick, he
I
is
didn't
a
know
massive pitbull apologist.
I want to come here.
There are two pitbull apologists in this room. One is silent.
My husband
really?
likes
Yeah.
pit
Oh
bulls
my
too.
gosh! You don't
Really
have one
loves
here, do you?
No, it's right behind the plant.
We should have.
Oh, for Fleckas, when Fleckas comes on, we're gonna have 4 pitbulls sitting on that chair, just staring at him the whole
He
time.
will. So sometimes sometimes John Doyle will send me tweets of like 5-year-old girl gets mauled by pit bull. Do you know how
many followers I get that will DM me news stories of pit bulls?
Really mad about it.
Oh, I don't think they appreciate the way I respond to like, yeah, okay, this is really funny. They do it to
get a rise out of you, and then you meet them there.
No, but it's a joke. I love responding to them. Like, oh, great one. You're gonna complain about the 12th pit bull attack for the whole year. Like, great.
John sent it to me. He was like, Mike's probably gonna be like, what was she wearing?
Yeah, yeah. So tell me if you think that this has any sort of credence. I think the problem is, I understand that, the pit bull is a minority of dog in the country, but they commit the most attack, whatever. Here's the thing, though.
Kind of reminds me of something.
Here's the thing, though.
The face.
Here's the thing. There aren't 28,000 murders by pit bulls every year. Okay, it's a very small amount. But what I think people are doing is they're attributing human reason and rationality to an animal. And I think that's where it kind of gets blown out of proportion, because they're like, yeah, dude, these things just want to attack babies. Like, they don't want to attack babies. They're not thinking, look at that tasty kid over there.
I don't think anybody tries to say that they want to attack babies. So I think their argument is that
that's part
right,
of
exactly.
diet.
Like, that's the edgy comment. Like, they love eating. Every time they see a kid, they're just salivating, waiting for their moment.
Do you think they are?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of their diet.
I'm someone. When it comes to pit bulls, I take the L. I love pit bulls, but I take the L. I'm like, dude, I think that they have something. They have something inherently violent. I've seen a lot of pit bulls that I love and are really sweet. Well, and I thought about adopting one, but
dogs like that. You think about Rottweilers, pit bulls, German Shepherds, Akita. They have inherent violence bred into them. I mean, these are like wartime fighting dogs, and they've been like that for hundreds of years. So it's like, you can't breed that out of a pit bull. You can't breed that out of a German Shepherd. There are reasons why German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois are used by the military and used by the police, just because they have that genetic and evolutionary, killing drive in them. And those are the type of dogs that, similar to pit bulls, you can't have a pit bull and just leave it alone. That pit bull has to be worked. It has to be exercised for at least an hour a day. So if you don't have the ability to do that to that dog, you shouldn't have that dog in the first place.
Okay, so wait, does that mean you acknowledge the fact that pit bulls are inherently violent in a way that many other breeds aren't?
No. Okay, so
right.
I think a lot of dogs have because Chihuahuas, right? It's the degree to how capable they are of hurting people are very, very different. Chihuahuas are some of the most violent dogs. I have a Chihuahua, incredibly violent. Okay, but to the degree where if he nips me on my thumb versus if a pit bull bites down on it, the degree of damage it can do is significantly different.
But I think it's different because a Chihuahua will bite, but a pit bull will keep going and going and going
depending.
I've just never heard of a story or seen it, because I had a Chihuahua growing up, and they have the propensity to be very nippy and bite, and they don't like kids, and they're not good with babies and stuff, but they don't go for the kill. They just bite you.
Here's the thing. Imagine if the pit bull had the personality or the sort of annoying nippy drive that Chihuahuas have all day. Like, pit bulls aren't necessarily like that. They're not like you know what I mean? Depending on how they are, I think Chihuahuas are just always like that. Yeah. Chihuahuas are always on edge. You know what I mean?
Like chickens.
So that's how I feel. And it's nice that Nick was the first guest for Mike the Pitbull Apologist. How do you feel?
For that segment.
I like that he came in with a strong answer on that. So you think we should euthanize all pit bulls?
I think so. I think they got to go. They're a menace. They're a menace to society.
Yeah.
And who's usually like, carrying them around? I don't trust it. I just don't trust it. I walk down the street in Chicago, I see some of these pit bulls, and I get out of Dodge. I'm like, I don't want any part of that. You know?
I'm like that way with Rottweilers.
I love Rotties.
This lady on our block was walking 2 Rottweilers, and she had the leashes around her waist and just let the dogs walk in front of her. I'm like, I'm good.
That's not the way to do
I'm
it.
good.
News.
Yeah.
My mom had a Rottweiler.
Really? What happened to it?
What happened to it?
The neighbor fed it rat poison because he was afraid of it.
Really?
Shut up.
For real.
Was your mom mad?
She was, heartbroken.
Devastated, I'm sure.
Yeah, love that. His name's Teddy.
That's so messed up.
But it was a savage dog. I mean, she was nuts, but it didn't do anything bad.
Right. I thought it's kind of funny. I thought pit bulls were
family dog.
It was a sweet dog, but she was like,
Was she high energy?
Yeah.
You have to work these dogs. That's the thing. A lot of people don't associate pit bulls, German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois as they do like Australian cattle dogs or healers or, Labradors, where you have to get them out and have to work them all day. Like dogs have to be worked, especially high energy dogs like the pitbull terrier.
Are you gonna miss Chicago when you leave?
Yeah, I am. I love Chicago.
What's with the deep dish pizza?
Well,
Not pizza,
the,
pie.
Chicagoans don't eat deep dish.
Is that really?
it's a
They
big-
don't?
Yeah. It's
Is that a
big
myth?
misconception? Yeah. So we have it. It's our specialty, but it's really more like a novelty. I mean, I'll have deep dish like rarely.
So it's like a tourist thing.
You have to recuperate after.
Oh,
it.
so real Chicagoans?
Yeah.
Chicagoites.
We eat a
Chicago
thin
wine.
crust
Thin
pizza.
crust, yeah.
It's a tavern style cut into squares.
Yep.
Oh,
It's good.
is it good?
Yeah.
It's still, in my opinion, that's pizza. New York pizza is not. It's like ballpark carnival pizza in my
but
opinion.
it's so good.
I mean,
love
that's just a
impressed.
bald-faced lie.
I love the greasy New York pizza, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
The thin
Chewy, it's
triangle
wet.
slice. It depends. I mean, yeah, chewy.
I'm still shook over the fact that deep dish is like for tourists. I thought it was like a thing in Chicago.
I mean, it is. We like it, but it is more of a tourist thing. Like I get pizza every Friday, and I order thin crust every Friday.
Did we
Okay.
talk? Did you and
I
I
feel like
talk
I need pizza
privately about the hot dogs in Chicago?
I think we did.
I think we
yeah.
did. We didn't address it publicly. So Chicago's also known for its hot dogs.
Yeah.
Do you know how to cook, Nick?
No, nothing. I can't cook anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're.
I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, I got slammed on Twitter for saying this, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a man who doesn't know how to cook. I don't think that men should not that they should know how to
If
cook.
they
but I
can,
don't-
great.
If they can, that's fine.
Right.
But I don't think. I mean, people are like, I want my
Any
husband to know how to
food
cook.
TikToks that you like?
Mm,
I'll show you one.
okay.
I'll show you
yeah.
one. You might
I'm
like
kind
it.
of annoyed by them. I don't like the ASMR
Yes,
aspect.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
They're like
that's-
crunch.
One of
It's
my
like, seriously.
They do this
It's
with the
like-
bread to
Oh,
make sure
yeah,
that it's toasty.
Yeah, I'm like, I get. he feels
He's
really
cringe,
strongly.
physically cringe right
I
now.
know. Or these ones where they like pour in the ingredients. It's like.
Yeah, I hate
know,
those
it's like,
so much.
stop,
I'm
just-
like, come on.
Yeah, I just.
It's just all for show.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be like the highlight reel of the highlight reel is Nick getting offended by
There
the
is a really
ASMR
cool guy
food
on
TikToks.
Instagram, though. He's like, all things butter. On episode 20 of All Things Butter. Have you seen that guy?
No,
So he's like a chef
I follow
in
a
London.
guy
He
that
makes
wears
really
a
cool
mask
butter.
and he cooks everything with a giant knife. That's what he uses.
Outside?
Yeah, and he has a dog.
The wolf dog.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen that one.
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
How much time do you have?
I got another 10 minutes left. What
Okay.
kind of food do you like?
Me, I really, well, I eat like a pig. I like pizza, hot dogs, burgers, Italian beef sandwich. That's like my
Okay, you eat
staples.
like a white boy. Okay. Because I was thinking about bringing food to Bryson's party on Saturday night.
Wasn't
Because I can
invited.
cook.
Okay.
Oh, you can come.
I'm not showing. Hey, Mike's here.
You know
Hey,
what?
everybody.
Bryson would probably be so happy to see you.
I also have to say, Justin Bieber shouted me out at his concert last night.
No way,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber's white excellence. I support.
I love the Biebs. I am like such a fan of Justin Bieber. You know, he was his photographer for like 4
Really?
years.
Yeah, 4 years.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's white excellence. I love that. It's. Please
my
clip
God.
it and send
I
it to
told
him.
you,
Jesus
he's
Christ.
Like, there's nobody funnier than Nick on,
Yeah.
on the World Wide Web. He
Seriously.
like, takes the cake for funniest
Seriously,
kid
that's
ever.
yeah. I went to the concert last night,
White
and
excellence.
I'm still friendly with a lot of people who work in the crew. So I took them out the night before, and then they're like, "Come to the show." I said, "Okay." So my buddy and I are there, and it was toward the end of the show, and he's walking. So I'm like level with the stage, but up in the seats, but level with the stage. He walks over to stage left, and he's singing, but he's wearing sunglasses. I'm like, he could be looking at me right now. I'm staring at him just because, yes, I'm watching you perform. And then he turns to the DJ and he goes, "Hey, look, it's Lerner."
Yo.
And then walks off.
Shout out.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then the DJ starts pointing at me like, I think they told him they were like talking in their mics that only they can hear in the in-ear. So I thought it was pretty funny.
We want to get him on the
saw you.
show, but I mean, he
Would
would probably,
never.
yeah, he would probably say yes, but his handlers would say no.
Right, exactly.
Because you were on. That's
yeah,
why.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Controversial.
Well,
Come on,
I
Justin.
talked
Come on,
about,
Biebs.
yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of podcasts that he would go on that
Yeah.
just they can't schedule things
You are
around
right.
a tour. It's tough.
I think it's great that he got married young. I think he and Hailey Bieber got a good thing going.
Yeah.
I think maybe Justin needs to move to Catholicism though.
I was actually going to say I would like to see him move away from the Hillsong.
There was a great documentary on Discovery Plus, one of those kind of things. Like, it's not Paramount. I think it was Discovery Plus about the Hillsong drama. What do they call it? A scandal inside the church. The person who started that church
the
was
guy
a
with the hoodie
pedophile.
who was like, sleep with all the girls.
Well, then the pastors who came from that
right.
were in, marital scandals and stuff like that. It was really kind
Yeah,
of
I
not
mean, what do
the
you
best
expect
optic
from
looks.
that?
1-800-JAR-BEAR wants to know, if you were president, what would be the 3 federal agencies to go first?
That's a good question.
3
Yeah.
federal agencies. Probably, See, I don't know, because I like governments. I would fire all the people in them, but keep them. Probably, it would just be anything to do with like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Anything, maybe like the EPA,
right?
Because that's
kind of infiltrated every organization, though, right? Like every federal agency,
exactly.
So it's kind of like, what do you do? Like, does the EPA need to exist? No. Does the DEA need to exist? No, not really. I mean, does the FDA? Right. Does not the FDA, but the ATF? I remember who's the big libertarian who started Reason magazine?
Oh,
Matt. Was it Matt something?
I know you're talking about.
He was on Bill Maher once, and he was talking about ATF doesn't need to exist. Do we need to regulate alcohol? Maybe. Tobacco? Not sure. Firearms? Definitely not.
Yeah.
So it's like one of these things that the ATF has just led to, like some of the most horrible murders of civilians. In the recent 20, 30 years. It's horrible when you look into actually the history of the ATF, and it's like, it's led to Waco, it's led to Ruby Ridge, it's led to the I forget the bombing in Philadelphia. So it's just some really like horrible stuff. So you think ATF goes?
Maybe, because see, the thing is, we can use government as a tool to target the correct people. You know what I mean? To be slaughtering the correct. No, kidding. We don't want to kill anybody, but we want to point the government towards the like the IRS,
being targeted towards But when the IRS starts to target conservatism or conservatives directly, like that becomes a problem,
right?
So as long as the right people, as the right people are in power,
right? Exactly. But I would fire everyone in the State Department, everyone in the embassies, everybody everywhere.
Just those jobs, those people get paid massively.
Oh my gosh!
Like for anyone who works in the bureaucracy, like when you hear their wages, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Damn, AOC, how much do you make?
She got engaged to a white dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
You've got a shot if that one fails.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I think you and AOC would make a good couple.
You think?
I think so.
We both went to BU. We went to the same school.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Don't joke like that.
I'm not joking. I think you might convert her, though. There's the thing.
She's older than me, though.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You need to go.
She has dried up all of her eggs with her anger. So that would be no bueno.
She's Puerto Rican. That could never work. Mexicans and Puerto Ricans.
And have you seen her in skinny jeans? Just come on.
No,
I haven't seen. No, why was she?
No, but
what if she was Costa Rican?
Yeah, maybe not as big of an issue, but like Mexicans and Puerto Ricans are mortal enemies.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I don't hate
that's
Puerto
right.
Ricans,
No,
but it's just
it wouldn't work out.
No.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you had some like little Puerto Rican kids? Okay. This is maybe the last question that we'll get to. I don't know.
Okay.
It seems like I can stick around for a little bit longer, and then it's
you guys can. I just want to bathe my baby.
Jake Zamora 2. This is an interesting question. Can you briefly explain what a paleoconservative is?
Yeah, it's I don't love that term. It was coined by Paul Gottfried, and that's it's the opposite of like neocon is new, paleo is old. And so it's like the old right, and defined obviously by Pat Buchanan and Sam Francis and some of these guys. And it's about getting back to like what the true right wing, true conservatism is about, which is about the family, and it's about traditions, and it's about stability in the society.
Yeah.
Basically Pat Buchanan's platform in '92 is what it's about.
Would Buckley be a paleoconservative? No, right? He'd be like a neocon, right?
I wouldn't say he was a neocon, but he's like a classical liberal, like a Reagan conservative.
Yeah, okay. Who's the guy that... Barry Goldwater. Would he be considered paleo?
He was like a libertarian.
Oh, really?
Like a paleo-libertarian.
Oh, interesting.
So you read Conscience of a Conservative, he's like...
Yeah. I have the book. Haven't read it yet. Okay. I mean, can we... you want to talk about Elon for a second? There's a question about Elon here.
Are you getting married or what?
Me?
Do you have a great
No. I mean, I'd like to get married eventually, but...
Oh, can I read a hashtag for you?
No,
Yeah, he likes saying it.
He loves to say it.
Wait, can you briefly... I really want to get down to knowing what one is, because Carly thinks that there's a runner on the Greenway that might be an incel. She's like, it looks like an incel. I don't even really know. I don't think she knows. I don't really even know what the core beliefs of an incel are.
Well, it used to mean involuntarily celibate, which means like you can't get laid. And then we sort of reclaimed, me have reclaimed the term to mean just like militantly like anti-feminist, and also it's about not prioritizing women.
Right. It's the alleviation of pressure from society to necessarily have to be constantly pursuing women.
No, focusing on your mission first and foremost, and then what the wife is meant to aid you in your mission and give you heirs. Right? Is that?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't need validation from a woman. I don't need to, because that's what a lot of guys will do. Is like, I talked about this on a live stream today. It's sort of like this therapeutic girlfriendism that's going on, where guys seek out these girls for comfort. And, you know, it's like when people like think they're about to die in like a movie, they say, I want my mommy or something. They crawl into the fetal position. Why? They sort of regress to an infantile state. And this is what modern men are doing with this thing about like, I could be trad and be like a total simp. It's a cope and a rationalization. They want the soothing that comes from a mother figure, which they seek out in a girlfriend. And so that's where you see this, the feel when no GF, if I just had a GF, everything would be right. This is my thing. They want the therapy that comes from this sort of motherly.
We gotta get her on.
I reject this. I'm an incel. So
Well, and you also had a healthy.
What about a neo incel?
yeah. Hey, I like that. I'm a neo incel.
I
That's
started.
actually not bad.
Yeah, now
not
you
bad.
Everyone go send Mike Lerner a message. Thank you for creating the term neo incel.
Kinda like
Jesus
that.
Christ. Now I'm going to get a
Neo-incel
Wikipedia
movement.
page.
Yeah,
that the
you're
founder
done
of
now.
neo incel
We're definitely
is.
getting kicked off of YouTube now.
Oh God. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
This
cut
might
you
be
off.
this might be our first strike. I mean, because we haven't had a first strike yet on YouTube, have we?
I always encourage the people who have said, especially it was on your first visit here, they were saying, I can't believe you guys aren't pulled right now. And every person who said that, I said, stop saying it. The mere mention of you saying it somehow has to feed the algorithm.
Yeah, it's like,
So just
well, I'm not
leave
gonna
it
say
alone.
The other thing. Another thing that I always say. That
Yeah, don't.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say.
okay,
I'm not
good.
gonna say. I'm
No
not gonna
jinx.
say. No jinx.
Before you go, I wanted you to hear this. Pound for Pound 01 says, Nick and Sav need to make babies. Savannah Fuentes hashtag. So that.
Come on, she's only a little bit brown.
Isn't she older than me though?
How old are you again?
I'm 23.
She is. So that's
Oh, yeah, dude,
you
you
can't marry
can't
someone.
work.
It's
Can't
it's
work.
just 2 years, but it's not. Yeah, you need someone. You need someone younger.
Need someone 18.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you do.
18
I would
is the
say
oldest.
like 19 is a sweet spot. Give her a full year to be
Yeah.
legal and then snatch her up. That's like, yeah, she's very, very fertile at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19 is, yeah.
19's good. 19, 20, you know.
Imagine like 1685, girl who was 31 already had 2 or 3 kids.
Oh, more than
Imagine
that.
that. Yeah, you think so?
More
yeah,
than that.
big time.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time. You got to go, right?
Yeah, everybody listening, get married young and have children young, and go to cozy.tv and see Nick. If you haven't watched the show, highly recommend, all jokes aside, highly recommend watching Nick's show. There's a lot of things when they happen. I see it on the news. I'm like, I wonder what Nick's take is. He's got good takes. So go watch him there. Locals, doinggreat.locals.com.
So should I explain what's about to happen?
Yeah, explain what's about to happen.
Okay, so Gina has to leave. Not time constraints, but she's going to go attend to her child. So what Nick and I are going to do, we're going to take this to doinggreat.locals.com, and we're just going to ask him a couple more questions. You can only get that by going to doinggreat.locals.com and subscribing or becoming a member of the community. So
Yes, the commune.
yeah. So you won't see these questions. We're going to talk about Elon Musk, and we're going to talk about some other stuff. So
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So if you want to keep on, if you want to keep on rolling, you can keep on rolling, and I'll just cut it.